Hi, I'm Michael Carotenuto, and we're back with another episode of National Prep Stars Run Your Region here on PassportplayasTV. Today we'll be covering a few of Arizona's top players. Well, we are going to start with the top quarterbacks, and man, in the recent past, Arizona has had a lot of quarterbacks plucked out of this state, playing in a lot of Power 5 conferences and doing very well. You're going to see why, and we're going to get it kicked off with Thompson, the 6'4", 200-pound junior quarterback from Mesquite High School, won a state championship this year, a 4-star quarterback is Thompson. He's verbally committed to Oregon, has 21 offers altogether, could change his mind. So for Thompson, again, you can see why Oregon wants this young man. On his film, like I said, like we see here, just huge. 45 touchdowns last year and 4,074 yards. We'll see what he does this senior season before he heads up to Oregon.
Next up, we have the 6'2", 215-pound sophomore quarterback Nicco Marchiol, who played his last 2 seasons at Regis Jesuit High School in Colorado. Started as a freshman and a sophomore, and he's a 4-star rated quarterback. He's a lefty with quick release. 63% of his passes complete, 27 touchdowns. He also rushed for 333 yards, had 11 touchdowns. So you see the talent on the film, and man, I just expect those offers to double, maybe even triple by the time this young man is a senior.
Next up, we go to the west side of the valley. Will Haskell, a 6'4", 205-pound junior from Ironwood High School. Haskell, well, played in 4 games as a sophomore on varsity for Ironwood, where he threw 2 touchdowns and had 4 interceptions. Fast forward to his junior year, going through a full spring and an off season, he threw 20 touchdowns as a junior to just 4 picks, had 116.6 QBR. He also, though, a big part to his game, 106 carries for 965 yards. As you can see on the film, averaging 9 yards per carry and 14 touchdowns. So 34 total touchdowns for Haskell, and I think the offers are going to start pouring in even more. We wrap up the quarterbacks with Adryan Lara, a 2-year varsity starter. Lara, 6'1", 170 pounds from Desert Edge High School, and last year completed 64.3% of his passes, 4,016 yards, 41 touchdowns. So he is just a touchdown machine. His freshman year threw 20 touchdowns and had 10 interceptions, and for a freshman on varsity, and he did take his team to the playoffs. They lost to eventual state champs in Saguaro his freshman year, but either way, Adryan Lara, you love this kid's strong arm. He has the ability to throw on the run and just the smooth and steady mechanics. It just comes out here on the film. He had weapons, but he does make it seem like there's more than one football to go around, and that's a great problem to have.
Moving over to Arizona to talk about high school football there, specifically the running backs. Kicking it off, Eli Sanders, Chandler High School. He is a really good player, and he plays on a spectacular team. He transferred to play with the big dogs. I mean, Chandler, Arizona's first ever Open Division championship, which could have been the state's most important high school football game in its history, no doubt about it. And he played a pretty good factor into it. Coming to the season, he had high praise, ranked as the number 9 prospect in the class of 2021 by Arizona Central. So he had a lot of hype coming into him. He lived up to it. Unfortunately, spent some time on the shelf, but when he came back, he was a really good player for them. 7.4 yards per carry and 10 touchdowns. He has really good speed. He's also used on kick returns pretty frequently. So he has plenty of Mountain West offers. He actually got his first Pac-12 offer from Arizona State, and Chandler's expected to be another really good returning team, and he's just going to get better around him, and I expect him to get a lot more offers. Let's move over to Zion Burns from Poston, Butte. Unlike most players on this list, he doesn't necessarily come from a powerhouse school. He went to a school that had a 500 record, and he was the starter of the team. He had 20 touchdowns and with close to 1,500 yards, and he's starting to attract more attention because he's gone on a couple unofficials to Arizona State and Arizona. But he has a couple of offers from Nevada and Austin P and, a couple of FCS schools. He has really great vision, and he's really, really fast. There's no 2 ways to put it about it. He's such a fantastic player. Just to show his speed, he placed in the top 3 in many of the track events in the 100-meter over in Arizona. So I can see this guy really attending the Mountain West school. Maybe an offer from Arizona, Boise State, one of those top programs. San Diego State are ahead of them. So I think he's going to create a really good impact. Next up, we're going to move to Aziya Johnson, American Leadership, and he's young, but he's already getting plenty of benches from the rest of the other teams out there. His best offer right now is coming from Arizona State. He's ranked 3 stars by 24/7 Sports, and he was actually even named the Arizona 3A Conference Player of the Year. He has some really good numbers. He's bumping it up. He has 1,700 yards, 31 touchdowns, which is pretty impressive. And when they pass the ball to him, he goes for a long one with averaging 27.7 yards per reception. So he's a really good player. And like I said, he's still young. He's just a sophomore right now. So, I mean, sky's the limit for him. He's just going to continue to develop more as a player. So, and especially, at this level with the way American Leadership is playing too. Now moving forward, this guy has an interesting name, Zaccheus Cooper from Liberty High School. He's just a freshman. I hope I pronounced that name. A little bit of a tongue twister there, but he only played 6 games this season, but he was still able to rally an all-region honorable mention. He had 669 rushing yards. I think if he played a full season, it would have been almost certain that he would have had an 1,000-yard year. He was used also on special teams too, so this kid, he's just a freshman, but he already wears many hats on the team, So it shows that, he's a really versatile player and can play anywhere. He really has the ability to take off, elusiveness, awareness, everything's there for this kid. The future is really, really bright for him at a solid Liberty High School team. I can see him starting to get FCS offers, a little bit of smaller schools, but then, the interest is just going to pile up. I mean, he could be a Power 5 player by the end of his senior year, so he's going to be something to keep an eye on for the past couple of years, and, he's going to be an interesting name to say. So that's Zaccheus Cooper from Liberty High School.
We're now going to talk about some of the best wide receivers in Arizona. We're going to kick it off with the junior, Denzel Burke, the 6', 189-pound wide receiver from Saguaro High School. Before the season, Denzel actually transferred to Saguaro High School from Brophy Prep due to coaching stability. Denzel is the 9th-ranked athlete in the nation and 4th-ranked in Arizona. But the number one skill set that stuck out to me while watching Denzel's tape was his ability to separate. Denzel finished his junior year with 12 receptions, 313 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions on defense. This heavy recruited athlete has 20 offers from schools like Auburn, Ohio State, Oregon, University of Texas, and University of Washington. Next, we will talk about the junior, Myles Taylor, the 6'1", 170-pound wide receiver from Williamsfield High School. Myles' numbers improved tremendously from the year before. He went from 25 receptions for the season to 60 receptions for the season. He went from 500 yards for the season to 1,342 yards receiving. He went from 5 touchdowns for the season to 16 touchdowns for the season. This underrated receiver has shown consistently that he will gain yards after catch. Throughout the season, he began to grow a bigger role as he kept producing for his offense. In the semifinal playoff game, Myles had 4 catches, 203 yards receiving, and 1 touchdown in one game. It is unknown why Myles isn't receiving as much attention from these big schools, but if he continues to slaughter the secondaries, his opportunities will come. Next, we will talk about Kyion Grace II, 6', 160-pound wide receiver from Chandler High School. Recently, Grace was caught competing in a rivals camp in Los Angeles, California. Each session he participated in, you heard a lot of oohs and ahs and all for Grace's superb route running ability. In his sophomore season, he had 48 catches, 883 yards receiving, and 6 touchdowns. The 3-star wide receiver is beginning to rise as he has offers from Kansas University, both Arizona and Arizona State, UCLA, and most recently offered by Oregon State. Grace continues to perfect his craft in his route running as he prepares for his junior year in 2020. Next, we will talk about the junior, Aziya Newcombe, the 6'1", 185-pound wide receiver from Casteel High School. The 3-star wide receiver is beginning to heat up in the recruitment process. He has received 2 offers in the last 2 months from Yale in Northern Arizona. Before in the 2019 season, he had 1 offer from BYU. First thing I'll dissect from Aziya's junior tape, he's a bona fide deep threat. Aziya can also return kicks and display his swiftness to get away from defenders. He had 48 catches, 661 yards receiving, and 8 touchdowns for the season. Aziya is a 3-sport athlete, so he'll continue to compete year-round.
Well, as we roll on here on Passport Players TV with National Prep Stars Run Your Region, we are going to look at the dominant defensive backs here in Arizona. And man, we will get it kicked off with Steven Ortiz, a 6', 175-pound junior from Desert Edge High School. Already has 21 Division I offers, 83 tackles last year, 52 solo, 31 assisted, had 1 interception, had a fumble recovery, caused 2 fumbles. but his speed. I mean, it just jumps out to you, and you can't coach speed and height. I get it, but at 6 foot, he takes on would-be blockers, drives them back in, makes tackles. So, but his ability to cover as well. I mean, Steven Ortiz Jr., again, as a freshman, had 31 tackles, 25 solo. A sophomore, 57 tackles, 29 solo. And like I said, the 83 this year. So Steven Ortiz, 21 offers so far. Next up, we have a sophomore, Ben Morris, the 5'11", 160-pounder from Brophy College Prep. 42 tackles, 32 solo for Morris. Had 6.5 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions, 7 pass deflections, and a block punt. What he does, as you see on the film, in big spots, he just makes big plays. He has a knack for it. He takes away the team's #1 receiver. He doesn't get thrown off by double moves, and his closing speed makes him an awesome open field tackler. Like I said, he takes the #1 option away. So Ben Morris, 4 offers so far: Colorado, Arizona State, Indiana, and Iowa State, all offering Morris so far. But as he becomes an upperclassman, again, I easily expect these offers to double and triple. And then we go to, well, a freshman, yes, the truest of underclassmen, Cole Martin, the 5'9", 160-pounder from Hamilton High School. Before he even took a varsity snap, he had 2 Division I offers, one from Florida Atlantic and the other one from Nevada. As a freshman, he just has such a solid feel for the game and coverage, whether he's playing bump and run, which he's definitely knocking receivers off their routes, or if he's back in coverage. But he also is, like I said, making tackles, 27 solo, so very solid there. Cole Martin, again, 2 offers so far. Again, this kid aiming to be the top corner in the state by the time he's a senior. He's off to a great start. Now that'll take us to the safeties. We have the 6'2", 200-pound junior Hunter Barth, who is a 3-star athlete from Queen Creek High School, long, athletic, and it matches up with the, well, 20 offers that this young man has so far, mostly all from Power 5 conferences. They have him line up at corners sometimes too, playing bump and run. So again, the speed is there. Yes, he could have a future as a college receiver, but his strength is at safety, shutting receivers down. Hunter Barth, again, a 3-star athlete from Queen Creek High School. Now we move on to George Ramirez, a 5'10", 180-pound strong safety from Red Mountain, but also played running back and wide receiver, listed as an athlete. He's a 3-star athlete, 70 tackles last year, 29 solo, but 41 assisted, so always flying to the ball. He was an FBU freshman All-American. In 2018, he was Arizona 6A Defensive Underclassman of the Year. So much talent, and you see it on his film. The hands, the speed. He can get behind defenders because he knows how they need to be defensed, and he is very physical, a hard hitter, drives, makes guys, again, definitely makes receivers develop alligator arms, as what you want to do if you're a defensive back. 1 offer so far for Ramirez, and that is from NAU. And we wrap it up with another underclassman, Jax Stam, a 5'11", 195-pound sophomore from the defending state champs Liberty High School, and 105 tackles as a sophomore. He led the team, had 5 tackles for loss. You could tell he had this in him as a freshman on varsity. He had 59 tackles. But you look at what he did this year. He was 2nd team All 6A safety, 1st team All Region. Oh, and by the way, very recruitable because he does have a 3.75 GPA. You look at his film, what comes out? He is a hard hitter. They don't want to throw in his direction. They try and look him off, throw away, but Stam comes up and makes tackles. Like I said, the 5 tackles for loss, but just such a comfort for the game in their defensive scheme. He is just a football junkie. From what his coaches say, I mean, even in 8th grade, he was watching spring practices, trying to get a head start, hoping he could play varsity as a freshman as he did as a sophomore, one of the top safeties in the state. And again, it'll be an interesting battle between him and Cole Martin from Hamilton to see who is the top defensive back in the state the next few years.
All right, we're kicking off with the defensive lineman. Quentin Summerberg from Saguaro High School. He's ranked as the #1 defensive lineman in Arizona. A really good player too. And, he has the top 8 to show it. I mean, schools like Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State, those are some really impressive schools to get by. He had a really good season, 7.5 sacks, 68 total tackles, and 29 of them were lost. And, he has a big frame, 6'2", 230. He's a fantastic pass rusher, and strength really shows, especially with his hands when he's knocking the players out the way. Really, if I were to guess to a team that he would instantly put himself in, I think it would be Georgia. I think there's more availability for him, and it's a Power 5 school, and it's a really good Power 5 school in a tough conference. So I think that's a area that he could really, really work on. Still has his senior season ahead of him, so he's only going to get better from there. Moving on is Brandon Buckner. He was probably one of the most impact players on defense, and I mean, he missed 4 games but still had a phenomenal season, suffered an injury that set him back, but man, he was talking about how he spent time rehabbing, spent time wanting to get better, coming back stronger. And that really ended up turning out really good with him, because he led the 6A division with 14.5 sacks and 50 total tackles, and half of them were for loss. So to say this guy grinded it out during the offseason is an understatement. It kind of also helps that his dad is Bretson Buckner, who's also a coach over at the Arizona Cardinals. So when he gets that offseason working out with his dad, a guy that has plenty of experiences, coaches some pro players, it really helps him under his belt. He has multiple Power 5 offers too. So he's going to be, another player to keep an eye on for this upcoming season. This guy, J.D. Roberts, similar to Brandon Buckner, has a rehabilitation story. His was a little bit more, because his sophomore year, he actually suffered an ACL injury, I think before the season even started, but he bounced back really nicely this year. Spent a lot of time rehabbing. He's really, really fast, and that really helps, because as a great edge rusher, especially, when he's trying to get around, he is a hard hitter too. Very hard hitter. I mean, final player, Anthony Lucas. This guy is insanely big, towering at 6'5", 279 pounds. He's a 3-sport athlete too, so he's always busy. He's a busy guy. He's currently ranked as one of the top recruits in Arizona at his position. He has plenty of Power 5 offers. First one being from Arizona State, right down the road. So obviously these local guys know how to recruit their area. His height really comes in handy, especially when he's pass rushing, get his hands in the way to spot the balls. He's also pretty quick on his feet for his frame. That's what a lot of people find impressive about him. So that's Anthony Lucas.
We're now going to talk about some of the best linebackers in Arizona. We're going to kick it off with the junior, Trey Reynolds, who is 6'2", 225-pound inside linebacker from Queen Creek High School. Reynolds was a tackling machine as he finished off the year with 159 tackles for the season. But a skill that may not grab the casual fan's attention is Trey's ability to shed blocks as he hunts down for his opponents. Trey's overall stats were 159 tackles, 4 forced fumbles, 1 interception, even had 6 touchdown passes at quarterback. Trey Reynolds has many offers from schools like Wisconsin, Oregon, Virginia, and Yale. However, the one school that offered Trey that has his most interest at the moment is Oklahoma State. Trey has decided to give his full undivided attention to football instead of playing baseball in the offseason. Next, we have the junior, Kyler Orr, who is 6'2", 220-pound middle linebacker from Chandler High School. Pursue is all you can think of is pursue as you watch Kyler fly around to the football. I'm sure running backs, wide receivers, even a quarterback have to continuously wonder if there's 2 people in his number 42 jersey. Even with missing 3 games, Kyler finished the season with 84 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 4 QB hurries, 1 interception, and 1 forced fumble. Kyler Orr has done some college visits recently to Oklahoma State and the University of Reno, Nevada. Next, we have the junior, Trey Brown, who is 6'3", 205-pound outside linebacker from Arcadia High School. Trey Brown's one of those players who have your coaches sucking coffee beans as they prepare to deal with him for 4 quarters. He will literally implode into your quarterback, eat up ground, chase down your running back, run past your defense as he runs his routes on offense. Trey Brown 2019 season numbers were 77 tackles, 19 tackles for loss, 13 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and had 5 receiving touchdowns on offense. Trey has offers from Washington State, San Diego State, UNLV, and Colorado State. This 3-star will be a force to reckon with for years to come. Last and certainly not least, we'll talk about the freshman, Wyatt Mickovic, the 6'1", 225-pound outside linebacker from Basha High School. Wyatt is originally from Fort Myers, Florida, and you'll see him from time to time show his sunshine roots Aziya the chopper style. You know the chopper style, chopper style. Wyatt actually played at Hamilton High School for his freshman year. One thing for sure, you better keep your head on swivel as Wyatt is on the prowl. Wyatt's stats in his freshman year were 36 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 9 QB hurries. As Wyatt gets acclimated to Bachelor, we should expect to hear more about him in the near future.